You're sure you know what you're doing?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I've got the frame now out of the saw again. It's worked out perfectly square. It's great. That clamping seems to have worked well. They're not closed up perfectly, but it's holding together really well, and it's closed perfectly on the top. I am going to put some 1/4-inch dowels in the short sides just to make sure that this stays together. Then I will do a light sanding on this and do a couple coats of clear urethane on this to seal it a bit, and we're ready to cut down the top. So I did speak too soon. This one has come apart here. I'm going to put a corner clamp on there and drill for a dowel. Then I'll put some more glue on the inside again and glue the dowel in. So yeah, while I was gluing up the one that came loose, the other one at the opposite side of it came loose as well. So I'm going to dowel that one, pound the dowel in, and then I noticed that this one would have come loose if I hadn't had the dowel in there already. So I'm going to hope that the dowels hold everything together well enough. Like I say, once this is in the wing, it's not coming out unless I'm completely replacing it anyway. So it just needs to stay together until I get everything back in the wing. Yeah, it's still square. I'm just going to sand this, start sanding this, and then I'll do a light spray of urethane. For all of you who have been yelling at your computer screens, screaming at me that is not the way to clamp up a frame, I know that now. So no, these corners did not stay together. Two of them didn't anyway. The other two actually did seem pretty good. So I was able to drill for those dowels and put the dowels in, so that helped. I was able to sort of jig this up and get it clamped square with all of the corners tight, and then I flooded them all with super thin super glue and then accelerator. I did that on the top side. Then I flipped it over and did the same thing on the bottom side. This seems to be really glued up solid now. Then I did a light sand on the bottom and on the top. I sanded all of the edges except for the one that's going to go against the table. I want that one to be flush and flat right against the table, but the other ones I'll be able to run my hands and stalk over, so I don't want them to get splintery. Now I'm going to spray a coat of clear lacquer on here, or what is this? Yeah, clear semi-gloss sealant and protector, Rust-Oleum Painter's Touch. Don't know if it's the best thing, it's just what I've got. So I'm going to spray a coat on the bottom, and then I'll turn it over, spray a coat all the way around the top and on the sides. Let it dry for however long they recommend. I'll look at the bottom. If I think it needs another coat, I'll do it, but I think one should be fine. It's going to be on the bottom, but I will probably sand and then do a second coat on the top. Yes, I did forget my respirator. So I just went around to get that. I have some good ventilation here anyway, but no reason not to use your PPE. Now it's time to turn this over. I can see it's drying pretty well already anyway. Okay, that's had about an hour or an hour and a half to dry. I'm going to do a light sand with 320 on a leveling beam, just around the top. I'm not concerned about the bottom or sides because nobody's going to see them. I will spray a second coat on the bottom and sides. Okay, yes, I forgot the PPE again. Okay, I'm going to let that cure for an hour or so. I'm going to head back over into the shop. Okay, well, let's get this router table off of the tool stand. So there is a warning on the bottom of this table that says if this is going to be used or stored in humid conditions greater than 65%, which doesn't happen here often, or temperatures below 5 degrees Celsius, we get easily down to minus 45 Celsius in the winter. It says to make sure you seal all the edges so that we don't have swelling. I definitely will do that. I still have that gloss clear coat. That probably would work fine on the edges of this, or I'll just I'll paint some kind of sealer on it once I get everything cut. Although what I do notice is where the a factory cut for the router is itself, there is no treatment on it. And I've had this table for 7 years and it's still perfectly flat, no swelling or anything. At any rate, that's the table out and ready to be cut down. So there's some leftover glue in here. I'm going to have to flatten this track a little bit and then get the glue off the bottom of the miter track. I'm also going to have to cut it down so it will fit in the wing now. And then what I'm going to do, rather than glue it back down, I will countersink for some screws, some small screws, and screw it down. I might have to notch part of the frame that I made. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the tool stand. My idea was to get rid of that tool stand, have one less thing in here, and have even a little more feeling of room. But as I'm looking, and I look at kind of this work area here, I've got a lot of stuff up here, and I'm kind of thinking that the sander may go on that tool stand and it can just continue going back here, just like the router table did. And that would give me a lot more space on this countertop over here. And down at the end, I would just keep leaving the tools I don't use too often, and I would just pull them over as I need them. So that's what I'm thinking. I'm going to go have a look at that frame. That should be all ready to go, and we'll install it back in here. Okay, well, I'm ready to start cutting the top of the router table down to fit in the frame here. I fit the frame in last night, leveled it. It's all fitting perfectly. I may have to readjust this. It's of course contingent upon how well the router table fits in this frame I built. If anything, the table itself could be a hair proud, so I may have to lower the frame just a little bit. Hopefully not. I was really careful in my measuring and cutting with that, but we'll see what happens. The other thing I'm going to do with the router table top, it is MDF. And it says clearly on the bottom, seal any unfinished ends to avoid moisture damage. I'm just going to seal those ends when I'm done with some paste wax, a couple coats of paste wax, and see how that does. Where the hole is to set the actual router in, I'm looking at that right now, and there's no finishing on there at all. And I've had this table for 6 or 7 years, and I bought it secondhand. So this is probably at least 10 years old, and that wood hasn't swelled, but I don't want to risk that. So I will put it on the ends, and we'll see how that goes. So my plan is to trim down the back of the router table. Just trim off, there's a little bevel or a cove, very, very narrow, on the sides of this table. I want that to be flush against the frame that I built. So I'm going to just trim that off at the back part of the table. And then the front part, I have a little damage up at one end of the corner here. I went through that with a circular saw when I was cutting something on this a couple years ago. So I need to cut probably 3 or 4 inches off the front part of this table anyway. So I will cut that to trim that damage off and make sure that it will fit in the frame this way. The length of the frame this way is about 17.5 inches. So I'm going to need to cut this down to 17.5 inches. Once that's done, it is short enough I can use my crosscut sled to cut the sides, which I'm going to have to cut about 5 inches total off of that. So 2.5 on each side. So I'm all jigged up and ready to go. I will get my PPE on, and I'm going to do this first cut and see how that goes. Okay, well that's the top cut down, and one thing I need to say right now is I really don't like working with MDF. Man, there was a cloud of dust in here. I've still got the air cleaner on. I've been able to turn it down to low now. I finished cutting that about 20 minutes ago. I ran out of card space and both cameras ran out of battery. The cut down, it worked out absolutely perfectly. My crosscut sled works great. This is perfectly square. I've checked it all the way around and it does not deviate from 90 degrees all the way around. I'll just show you that really quickly, these couple sides that are toward me right now. There's the square. It's right against the close edge of the tabletop, and there is no gap. And if you look over here, it's right against the tabletop all the way up. So perfect. I'll show you the other side. Same thing, the square is right against the table all the way across here and all the way up. There is absolutely no gap. Perfectly square. I'm really happy that I took the time to make that crosscut sled. I've got this cut down to the right size. I have already test fit it. It fits perfectly into the frame. I thought I might have to bevel the sides of this a bit to get it to fit in there. But it fits in without any problem. The frame itself is perfectly square at these ends. Over here at this side, it's a little bit wider at this side, so I'm going to have to put a little shim in there. But the parts that matter to me are lined up perfectly. Also, when I test fit it, the table may be just very, very, very small amount proud, so I might have to do some adjustments. But what I'm going to do first is I'm going to take some sandpaper and just break these edges a little bit because they are pretty sharp. Just a couple passes with a leveling beam ought to do it. Okay, about 4 passes seem to do it, so you get this side. That's feeling better. So I'll put this in and show you how this looks. Slides in really nice. I have just a very minute amount of wiggle room back and forth and side to side. Like I say, I have this little gap down here. Not really too much of a problem for the functionality of the table, and it's shop furniture, so it doesn't have to be perfect. It has to be functional. One of the things that I was thinking of doing was putting some screws through the frame into the table from the bottom, and that might bring things down a little bit there. It is just a hair proud here. I don't often have stuff that extends across here anyway, and as long as the fence can slide over it, I don't really think it's too much of a problem. Yeah, you don't even feel it go over that. Very happy with that. I still have to cut down the miter track, clean this this track out and put the miter in. Probably going to have to notch for the edges of the frame. I'm not going to do that right now. The truth is I don't really ever use a miter track in my router table, so I'm not even really sure I need to notch that, but I may do that just so I have that option down the road if I need it. I'll pick up the handheld, show you how this fit is, and then we're done. Oh, one other thing I'll do is I'm just going to check. Yeah, it's a little bit, just a little bit proud. Probably will get some screws to put in up through the bottom. That might take that down that last little bit. The bottom is only about a ½ an inch thick. I've got some 3/4 inch drywall screws, so I can put those in from the bottom. So I'm going to try that and see if that brings this top down a little closer to level on here. So here we are. You can see it's a very, very close fit in this corner, going all the way up. It's a nice tight fit, and we get to the top. We've got just a little bit of playroom there. When I put the screws in from the bottom, I will set it so that it's as tight to this side of the table and to the tabletop as I can get it. If there's a gap, I want it up at the top and at the side. Looking up here at this corner, again, a little bit, the gap seems to be a little bit wider up there, up here. On this side, it fits perfectly tight. And then as we go down around to this bottom corner, you can see there's that gap. I'll just put a shim in there. As I said, I'm not concerned about that. I do want the top to be able to come out easily, so I don't mind that I have a little play up there at the top. If I ever need to take the frame out, the bolts mounting it at least on 2 sides are going from the inside out. So I need this top to be able to come out relatively easily. So I'm going to consider this done for now. I think this is really good. As far as doing this as a 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there, an hour if I got it, this is a really good way to get a whole freaking pile of footage. This is going to probably be a nightmare to edit. It was really great to shoot it that way, but I have a lot of footage to edit down now, so I'm not sure I'm going to do another one this way. It might have worked better to have just said, hey, you know, I'm going to do this project. Here's the start of it. Now I'm going to do all the rest in my spare time over the next week, and then just showing you kind of the finish and what I did to get there. But anyway, that's this video. Like usual, thanks for watching. Please check out my band One Soul Thrust. The links are in the description below, like always. Until the next video, we'll see you.